Good morning, uh, ladies.
Hello,
Good
Mr.
morning.
Secretary.
I don't see anybody, any gentlemen. Right. I'm sorry for the delay. We just, this is the first day of our holy month where we are supposed to fast for 30, it's not in one go, but for 30 days. It's a fasting month and
All right.
the timings are then changed. So we are now working from 10 to 4, whereas the regular timings are from 9 to 5. So I just thought that we can have, we can start a little late, hence the time.
Thank you for letting us know. And I don't know why my video does not work, so sorry for this. But can you hear my voice?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
हमारा तो on कर रहे हैं video. We can hear you.
Thank you.
Okay, then can we start today's meeting?
Yes.
Before we start the meeting, let me start with one very good news. As we all know, KSP team has been working on the proposal for the establishment of Pakistan Green Car Center. And through the bidding process of KIAT, which represents Korea Institute of Advancement of Technology, we won the competition and we'll be starting the research from the next month, I guess. We really appreciate your SMERA's advisory and especially the official letter from the CEO of SMERA. It was a great help, and I believe our connection will get even more stronger even though we finished the KSP project. So thank you so much.
The competition rate was actually 5-0, 5-1. So 5-1. So we are so happy for it, and also thank you a lot. So from this May, we will do the pre-feasibility study in about 8 months, and we will complete the project concept paper for the Pakistan Green Center. And then you, SMEDA, can submit a formal ODA request form to our Ministry of Industry in Korea. Then 2023, we will start the project, actually. So this is our plan. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing this information. This is actually great news. And I hope that we are now able to move forward and the feasibility study is done in a manner where we can be sure that this project will be initiated. So you can definitely count on us for any information or work that is required from our end. We stand committed to this program and then working with you, with the team that has been working on KSP. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
And for today's meeting, let me first share today's meeting agenda very briefly. I guess everyone can see the document. So we'll be wrapping up the interim reporting seminar, which was held last week, it was, right? And followed by the discussion on policy implications, we'd like to request SMERA on the additional necessary materials. So firstly, I hope Pakistan enjoyed the presentations from KSP team, and we were also very impressive on the comments from the CEO of SMERA. And if I may, let me briefly summarize what he has mentioned. There were two major points. So first, he mentioned about the further cooperation between Pakistan and Korea in especially electrical vehicle market. And also, second point was there was the needs for electrical vehicle market expansion and also the technology development. and we appreciate Pakistan side's interest and consideration on this project. So let us share KSP team's thoughts on Smera CEO's comment first. And we would like to ask Smera your feedback on the interim reporting seminar. So regarding the second point, which is the two-wheeler electrical vehicles, I'd like to ask the Korean side's opinion. So Ms. Soo Han and Ms. Jae Kim, I hope you're ready to share your thoughts and materials if there are.
Actually, about the electric motorcycle and tricycle, we have thought about it, but we think that items we can include as for the pre-feasibility study when we do the Green Car Center project. And also there is important fact is that also our director, the Jang Woo-seok, he mentioned at the last interim report session, like he talked about the government should make a support plan and that can overcome several limitations related to the EV and also electric motorcycle and tricycle. So at the government level, there is some several case from the other country you can refer. So we would like to introduce that case, and also we will give advice about the build some infrastructure such as charging station, and those kind of things should be preceded, and we will put this policy implication idea, our idea into the report, but that item we will consider more deeply when we do the pre-feasibility study. So I think so. Yeah.
Right. So on that point, in terms of infrastructure, there was a brief discussion in-house about 20 years ago. There was a boom in CNG stations, CNG and filling stations for vehicles. Now that because we have some natural sources for gas in Pakistan, but over a period of 20 years, those resources have depleted at a very fast level because then we had started using CNG for our vehicles, for three-wheelers as well as four-wheelers. Now, since the last 4 or 5 years, those CNG stations have now closed. However, there is a very vast network of that infrastructure available, and that is linked to major highways in Pakistan and even the intra-city routes. Now, that is something that I just wanted to bring because we will definitely be talking about this once the feasibility study is done, and then we can discuss this aspect in detail. Because we think that infrastructure development for charging stations and the technology required, both will be equally important.
In terms of the technology internalization, I think that is this is the good way to start with the motorcycle. But we should consider that there should be some also the service that can government push. So there is several examples. So can you share the example to this meta?
Yes, I found some examples of other countries that is going on. So this is the example of Philippines, Indonesia, India, and Thailand. So they were changing their public transportation to the eco-friendly transportation. So for example, in Philippines, their public transportation is jeepney, the picture above. So the government set a goal to substitute this one to electric jeepney by 2022. And also Indonesia and India is doing this project in three-wheel taxi, bajai and auto rickshaw. So for the Indonesia case, they started to change fuel from gasoline to natural gas. And also for India, the automotive large enterprise Mahindra produces electric power motor for this three-wheel taxi. And also in Thailand, there is three-wheel taxi tuk-tuk. And also this tuk-tuk was actually very bad for the climate change, but they substituted to electric tuk-tuks by 2025. And this Thailand case is done by Korean ODA. So you can just refer to this picture. How does it looks? Is it available in Pakistan also, do you think?
Yeah, I think the important thing is that like, I think also we explained in the reporting session, we talk about this electric motorcycle, even tricycles are still expensive, and it also needs many charging stations, actually more than for the electric vehicle. So those matters should be considered first, and also there should be a demand side, there should be a customer. So those kind of for the prepare for the demand side, we thought about this service. So we would like to hear your idea, and that can also, we would like to know just it can apply to Pakistan too.
Right. So I'm sorry, Mr. Ashfaq was supposed to be here, who heads our, you've already met him. He is our technical person who's been working with JICA. But let me try to answer this. In terms of two-wheelers, that is a market primarily for the lower middle and probably a little towards the middle class. There's a huge market. However, because the segment lies in the lower middle class, the price sensitivity is also very high. So if you're talking about shifting from a Chinese manufactured or a local manufactured gasoline fired engine bike to electronic bike, I think the price sensitivity will play a very large part. So we then have to see the cost implications for electronic vehicle. And let me just quickly run this by Mr. Ashfaq, and then he will probably also chip in. अशफाक साहब, अभी बात ही हो रही है कि जो टू व्हीलर और थ्री व्हीलर में हम कर रहे हैं ना, वो तो है ही है। उसमें कुछ एग्जांपल्स हैं जो टू व्हीलर और थ्री व्हीलर की हैं। इसमें थाईलैंड का इन्होंने कुछ प्रोग्राम्स इन्होंने खुद किए हुए हैं और इन्होंने एग्जांपल्स हमारे साथ शेयर कर रहे हैं। अब इसमें बात ये हो रही थी कि टू व्हीलर पे ये पूछे थे कि आपका क्या ख्याल है कि इलेक्ट्रॉनिक उसमें ईवी पे जाए कि ना जाए। डिमांड साइड का क्या है? डिमांड साइड हो गया,
प्रोजेक्ट इन्होंने विन कर लिया बात।
हाँ, प्रोजेक्ट हमारे पास वो
बात वही आ रही है, डिमांड तो आपकी
डिमांड एग्जिस्ट करती है। प्राइस सेंसिटिविटी मैंने अभी बात की है कि वो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का इशू, फिर अब आप बता दें। मैंने उनको ये बता दिए, आप ये यहाँ से शुरू करें ना कि वही प्राइस सेंसिटिविटी तो है, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में क्या चीज मिसिंग है? वो मैंने बात की थी, सीएनजी स्टेशन हमारे पास एक ऑलरेडी एग्जिस्टिंग एक नेटवर्क है जिसको शिफ्ट किया जा सकता है, जो अब बंद पड़े हैं सारे।
अच्छा, मुझे बताएं कि वो जो एक का बंदा बना रहा है उसके साथ कोई हमें गपशप पहले लगा लेनी चाहिए।
कौन स्टेशन? फिर
ये जो मोटरसाइकिल बना रहा है
वो हम बात कर लेते हैं, उनको बता दें कि ये फिर हम वी कैन गेट बैक, डिटेल लेके आपको बता देते हैं।
ओके, गुड मॉर्निंग।
Morning.
I'm sorry for being a little late. Just on the two-wheeler side, we already had a couple of discussions with one of the manufacturer. They are producing a two-wheeler motorcycle, but in fact, what is limiting them to market is basically the price and also the infrastructure available in the country, both in terms of motors, batteries, and also the charging stations. What we think is the demand, yes, it's already in the market. Most of the organization, particularly if you look at the government public sector organizations, they are looking for the EV motorcycles. The demand, we believe that yes, it exists, but we have to see that whether we would be able to market that product at a better price and also the services available for the EV motorcycle. We would like to have a more detailed discussion with the manufacturers and also the parts manufacturer who are producing the body parts for this. We would suggest that if you allow us to have a couple of discussions with more people, we will get back to you within a couple of days, maybe next week.
Next week, we can
Next-
have another meeting.
Yes, before the next week, we another meeting.
That will be really good, and that will help our report. Thank you.
Thank you. But I want to add one more. I noticed that the price sensitivity is the key point in this project. So I think the government's willingness and government's power to push forward this EV production is very important.
So
Yeah.
we will look forward to your meeting with the manufacturer.
Yes,
you.
thank you.
Right.
Open policy.
And shall we move to the other topic?
Okay.
Smith,
So,
그 혹시 우리 얘기하기 전에 더 얘기하고 싶은 거 있다 그랬었잖아요. 스메다도 그걸 먼저 물어보는 게 좋지 않을까요?
okay. I'd like to ask Smeta's opinion about the interim reporting seminar.
I think it was. I think it was a very well managed seminar. There was a lot of information that was shared in a very systematic manner. Despite the fact that we have been limited due to COVID and there was no interaction, and you had to rely on a lot of information that was provided by our consultant and SMEDA. However, we have been able to decipher a lot of information and then make sense out of a lot of information that was shared through the E line. Now, what we also feel is that going through the report and the presentation, the consultant, the report might have some minor tweaking requirements in terms of content, in terms of the situation. For instance, when we talk about the clusters in Karachi, there was a mention of hub cluster, which is technically not part of Karachi and has been mentioned as such, which is a lapse on our end. Then a few things which we thought that maybe added as well from our side. We are working on it, and then we will get back to you on some minor details which need to be changed in the report. Nadia has been working on it, and she's highlighted a few things which are not technically right or have some typing or grammatical issues. So that is also something that we've looked at and will be sharing. So in terms of the interim reporting seminar itself, I think it was very useful. It brought out a lot of things, and the understanding on both sides enhanced as a result of that interim reporting seminar.
Yeah, thank you for your feedback. And I'm not sure, but if Cosby has some feedbacks or thoughts or questions, comments, please feel
Yeah.
free to hop in.
Yes. Um, I want to discuss something with Smeda. Uh, in in the process of research, we had the difficulty in figuring out the cooperative relationship between LEs and SMEs in Pakistan. Before, at the beginning stage of this regular Zoom meeting, we have questions whether cooperation or expert activities between Pakistan LEs and SME exist regarding surgical equipment or home appliance. To this question, SME has replied that those activities do not exist and that if small enterprise become big enough, they do experts on their own. So I would like to ask two things. Now I would like to discuss the scope of LEs in this paper. Is it means domestic LEs or foreign enterprises? It is necessary for the chapter 2 of our paper. So in terms of GVC, is there any demand for cooperation between domestic LEs and SMEs in Pakistan? Or would you, Pakistan, want to facilitate the existing weak cooperation of LEs and SMEs? Or Pakistan needs an inducement for such a cooperation afterwards? If LEs are not limited to domestic enterprises, could we focus on foreign enterprises? If then, we would have to supplement the paper by including policies that support SME experts or facilitating their entry into GVC. So I'd like to listen to your answers about the scope of LEs in this paper.
Right. So thank you very much for the question. I think it's very important. And this brings us to the very beginning of discussion in-house for this report, where we identified linking of SMEs with global value chains. Now,
Yes.
the reason why we pitched for this project was exactly to find out if whether SMEs linkage with the global value chain can be done
Yes.
with large enterprises, domestic large enterprises, or can it be done independent of large enterprises in the domestic market? Now, another reason why we selected this topic was that Korea probably has experience of both. Now we see that companies like Samsung has been supplying to Apple, which is a direct competition. Similarly, we see that Samsung has backward integration with small SMEs in Korea. And there's a network where SMEs are linked with the larger enterprises, the global names that we all know and use, like Samsung and LG and Daewoo. So this was primarily the reason why we thought that experience sharing from Korean side would be helpful to understand if there is a weak linkage or if there is a potential for local large enterprises and small enterprises to develop their network, as well as SMEs developing their network with either SMEs or large enterprises beyond the boundaries of the country, which is the external, the in other countries, large enterprises, or the SMEs in large in other countries. So just to recap and just to uh, minimize the confusion, we are talking about large enterprises as a part of the global value chain, the domestic large enterprises. And we're talking about a global value chain where SMEs are then linked up directly with international or the large enterprises in other countries.
Okay.
So for example, in government sector, already Pakistan is in a way integrated with international firms. So that's one example that already exists where Pakistan has somewhat of a direct linkage with the international firms in terms of the GVC, but that too is mostly the larger enterprises in Pakistan that are
Yeah.
supplying to the international firms, not the SMEs per se. Now, this
Yes.
large enterprise in Pakistan may have a backward linkage of getting some kind of a process being done by an SME.
They have.
Mhm.
So indirectly, they would be involved, but not directly. And maybe Shaksa can add something because, please go ahead.
Uh, Yeah, if we look at the Pakistan scenario, there are two sectors which we can quote as regard of the relationship between the small enterprises and large enterprises. One is the textile garments. Yes, they have excelled and entered into the foreign market as well. But in the auto part sector, the relation is quite strong. But again, that is based on the Japanese car manufacturers and the local vendors. They are also providing capacity building programs for the small enterprises and the vendor development. So they have a link available domestically. But as regard of the entering into the GVC, I think the textile sector, which was initially emerged as a small enterprises by the support of the large enterprises, they emerged locally, domestically, and then they gradually enhanced their capacities and also entered into the GVC. But again, this is related to only the garment sector of the subsector of the textiles, not the whole. But again, the most exports from the garment sector is again by the large enterprises, and they have outsourced their some operations to the small and medium enterprises.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, in my paper, I think we missed the point of GVC. It was very big. So at the next paper, for the next paper, I asked this question to supplement the GVC contents. Okay. Okay, I will consider your comments, and if I need more information, I will ask you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so if any other participants have any comments, then we could move on to the next agenda, if I may. So next agenda is the discussion on policy implications. This is the part where the KSP team will put a write on the conclusion part of the KSP final report. So as we could see on the KSP presentation files, KSP Pakistan project has three main pillars. So institutional framework, secondly, technology development, and third is the strengthening of manpower. For KSP policy implications, we would like to especially focus on the improvement of SMETA's role specifically. And if I may, let me elaborate what I think first. As for the methodology and action plan, firstly, the industry, university, and institution system will be introduced. then also we would like to suggest creating policy matrix for which contains like core policymaking relevant participants, such as not only for SMETA and EDB, PAPAM and PAMA, and etc. So maybe we could like furtherly discuss after today's meeting, and we could try to put this policy implications on our KSP report. So, Smera, what do you think about the 2 points?
I think that makes sense because when during the presentation, of course, since this was the interim workshop, what we're looking for at the end is the actual policy implication and the action plan itself. So the 2 points that you've raised make a lot of sense. How you sort of when you're talking about strengthening of SMEDA's institutional role vis-a-vis the project that we envisage undertaking in future, and within these sectors, the auto sector in particular, and the 3 sectors that we've mentioned, it would be interesting to have some sort of a group of stakeholders, because we already work with stakeholders, but let's say institutionalizing that could be a good way to move forward. So yes, I think that makes sense.
Thank you.
So yeah, so for the policy suggestion, the COSB will make a SMETA support plan to help SMEs enter GBC. It will be more about broader perspective, but we Hyundai focus on the role of SMETA in the automotive industry. So we would like to ask you we would like to know, can you let us know that if there are any programs, activities that SMETA is currently doing in Lahore cluster? In the last meeting, Mr. Tahir said that they will provide some of the activities that goings on in Lahore cluster. So we would like to know those kind of things. So
पिछले वाले programs. So there's बता दें कि अभी जो existing अभी तो हमारा कोई program नहीं चल रहा. So the last program that we've done with the Lahore cluster was the program under our collaboration with JICA. And I'm sorry that we've not been able to share the details. We will do that. We will in writing. We can share those details right now. However, if required, we can send them in writing as
Yes.
well.
So specifically, we will focus on what SMETA can do for the SME. So we'll focus those things, but we will also look for the other stakeholders. This because the industry, we should consider the other stakeholder. But we will gonna zoom in about the SMETA's plan for the SMEs support. So that is our plan. So we have a lot to go. I think this is the more important part than the ESIs and the case study. So now we have a job.
बता दे फिर. Right. Okay.
We will send you this information in writing.
Sorry?
We will send this information to you in
Okay.
writing about the auto
Yes.
sector, right?
Yes, thank you. Because we don't want to, talk about the same thing. You already done it. So that will be really helpful for us. Thank you.
And I also heard that UNIDO International Organization did the similar project cluster management in Lahore. So can you share the information also if you have?
We can share the report with you, I believe. Yes,
I think we have all.
I think that's already been shared with you, but nonetheless, we can send it over again.
Thank you.
소희, 우리 이미 가지고 있는 보고서 아닌가?
아,
Bilal, ये
그거
Hussain है?
말고 뭐 했는지? So you already sent about the information about Lahore cluster, but I want to know what UNIDO did in the Lahore cluster and how it goes on. So I saw that they are still managing the cluster. So I want to know the progress, what is happening in the Laura cluster now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Then Mr. Hassin also promised that we're gonna provide the meeting result with the manufacturer, the EV, about the EV and motorcycle. So we will look forward to it.
Yeah, we'd share that. We'll probably schedule a meeting, and then whatever our discussion is, we will share that with you in our next meeting.
Okay.
And also, can we know the role of SMETA branches? So I saw that there is SMETA branches such as SMETA Punjab and SMETA Sindh. And I want to know each of the SMETA branches have role itself. So can you explain about this?
Well, about SMEDA, so we're a federal government agency, and these are our regional offices. So we're the head office. So SMEDA Karachi or the SMEDA Sindh looks after the province of Sindh. Any activity that is undertaken for SME support is sort of managed and implemented through that particular office, right? Similarly, for SMEDA Punjab, it looks after the province of Punjab. Just like you have prefectures in Korea. So it looks at the province of Punjab, and activities of the implementation of activities or programs that SMEDA undertakes is done or executed by the provincial office.
At the same time, there are certain programs, normally we execute jointly with the international partners, for example, JICA and GHZ. They are executed and planned from the head office and implemented across different provinces. For example, the last program which Mr. Shahryar just referred related to the JICAs for the auto parts sector, that was managed from the head office, both in the provinces of Punjab and Sindh. So that was the vendor development program, basically to enhance the capability of the auto parts manufacturers, where both in the provinces of Punjab and Sindh. But we also entertained a couple of units in the hub, which are proximally, they are close to Karachi, but in fact, they are located in the province of Balochistan. So due to the close proximity, it was managed from the Karachi team, not from the Lahore.
Yeah. Can we also have some information about the organization chart and organization like number, and that would be really helpful. So especially for the plan for the Green Card Center, we should know their capacity. So we ask for this information. Thank you. So I think from now on, I think we don't need to meet like regularly. You're also busy, and also we should focus on the policy suggestion. So why don't we meet, and when we have an agenda, we will just share that we need a meeting. Also, SMETA, if you need some meeting with us, you can ask so that we can meet on occasionally. Is it okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
Perfectly fine.
Yes, thank you.
I guess we already have dealt with the third agenda, which is the additional necessary materials. And I'd like to ask SMETA to share us the relevant materials via email. Then we'd very appreciate it.
Yes.
So I'd like to toss the mic to the floor if anyone has any comments.
I have
question.
one more. Just
Sure.
for Mr. Tai already experienced the KSP program, right? Miss Nadia also. So there is always a capacity building, coming to Korea and visiting the relevant ministry and institution. I think that is the best part. We even meet the face-to-face online, but it will be so much better you come and we visit the Pakistan. But I asked Kotra, And this time it wouldn't be, on offline travel, but we would like to give you, good opportunity for some capacity building. So our plan is we are visiting the Ulsan Greencast Center, and then just wanted to show how it is going on and what kinds of company and manufacturer is doing it, and which, we would like to just show as it is. And also we will also, put some interviews with the manufacturers and, auto part company. So we are planning those kind of thing, and then we will share the video. So I think that is the optional plan. So
That will be
Yes.
useful.
okay. So if you have any idea and need, just let us know. So we will find a better way to build the capacity building program.
Right, thank you.
Yeah, that's all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Yeah. Have a good fest. Can I say that? It's weird.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
네, 수고하셨습니다.
네.
네.
보고서에 대해서는 그렇게 뭐 별
네.
의견이 까다롭지는 않네요.
되게 좋으신 분들이 AJ도 직접 고치신다고 하고.
국내 위원분들보다 더 나으신 것 같아요.
좀
저기야 저.
거긴 너무 많은 걸 꿈꾸고 계세요.
예,
그래서
바뀐 거 같고.
그 뭐지? 지난 회의도 있고 스메다가 좀 전해준 얘기들을 조금 회의로 그거를 리포해서 그
네.
국내 위원들 거에 이거는 파키스탄의 의견이었다. 뭐 그런 거 식으로 달아서 우리가 더 이상 터치 안 해도 될 것은 좀 터치 안 할 수 있음 하고, 뭐 이게 더 집중하기로 한 부분만 반영했다고
네.
해도 좋을 것 같습니다.
예.
네. 네. 저 스메다 2019도 받아야 되는 거 아니세요?
받아야 되긴 하는데, 근데 거기서 승인 안 난 걸 받을 수도 없고, 여러 번 얘기했는데.
그러게요. 네.
근데 사실 제가 거기서 얻고 싶었던 건 통계나 뭐 이런 것들도 있었는데, 거기서 그때 추가로 준 거 봤을 때, GVC나 이런 거 관점에서 더 구체적인 거를 얻을 필요가 있을까? 지금 정책 제안을 좀 더
네, 그걸
잘하는 게 중요할
집중하는.
것 같아요.
저
예.
그때 말씀드렸던 것처럼 이제 중소기업연구원에서 좀 더 큰 틀의 지원 정책이 나오면 저희가 자동차에 맞는 것들을 조금 더 계속 개발해서 서로 이렇게 좀 연결되는 식으로
예.
하도록 하겠습니다.
네.
네,
많으셨어요.
수고 많으셨습니다.
감사했어요.
설린연구원도 퇴사했는데 오늘 들어왔네요.
다른 과제로 제가. 네.
혹시
아유.
그럼 박사님 그 칸 현지 컨설턴트한테는 뭐 추가로 요청하실 자료나 문서가 있으실까요?
아니요. 근데 그쪽 상황을 봤을 때 뭘 요청한다고 그쪽 현황을 더 알기는 쉽지 않을 것 같고, 저는 지금 GVC 관련해 갖고 저희가 그쪽에서 얘기한 거랑 뭔가 매칭될 수 있는 사례를 좀 더 찾아서 이걸 해 보고 조금 더 질문이 있으면은 좀 인포멀하게 해도 될 것 같아요.
네.
자동차처럼 막 그렇게 구체적으로 안 하는 게 나을 것 같아서.
네, 알겠습니다.
알겠습니다. 네.
네, 수고하셨어요.
네.
네.
또 현대는 남아 있을까요?
네, 수고하셨습니다.
네.
네.
빨리 나갈게요. 이게 제가
아니, 괜찮습니다. 천천히 해주세요.
제가 이번에 핸드폰으로 했더니 좀 저를 탈퇴시켜 주시면 저를 그냥 내보내시면 안 되나? 왜 이렇게 안 뜨지?
내보낼 수 있나?
됐어요.
네.
네. 네. 오늘 모두 수고했고.